Put a finger down if your entire experience with AI so far has been asking it to do something, hating the output, closing the tab, and then doing the task yourself anyway. Then probably going online and fully agreeing with everyone saying that AI is completely overrated. I've been in the exact same position as you, watching everyone else use AI properly and grow their businesses with it, while the whole time I couldn't figure out how they were doing it. And here's the thing that no one tells you: there is a difference between having access to something and actually knowing how to use it. Most people were just handing AI with no context and left to figure it out alone. The best way I can explain it is someone handing you a Formula 1 car and then laughing when you stall. The car's not broken, obviously. It's probably more powerful than anything you've ever used. You just don't know how to drive it yet. So in this video, I'm fixing that. And before we get into it, there's one technique at the end that I genuinely wish someone had showed me from day one. It's completely changed how I use this tool, so please stay with me. You do not want to miss out on that. Now, let me explain what Claude is and why it's not another ChatGPT. Claude is made by a company called Anthropic. ChatGPT is made by Open AI. Now, they're both AI assistants, but they're not the same thing. The way I think about it is like, ChatGPT is the colleague who always has an answer for everything and delivers it with confidence, even if they're not actually correct. Claude is more like the colleague that thinks before they speak and admits when something is not 100% certain. I feel like I definitely can't be the only person that has asked ChatGPT a question and then gone on to realize that it was completely wrong. And honestly, since I've been using Claude, I've been seeing way less mistakes and even way less random answers from it. Now, Claude is really good at three things. So it's really good at writing in a way that sounds like a human wrote it. It analyzes documents and pulls out what actually matters. And it reasons through complex problems step by step instead of just throwing out something that's the most likely response. The last one is what makes a difference when you're using it for actual business decisions and not just asking it to summarize an article. Now, I do need to add that the free plan is 100% functional. You do not need to spend anything to follow along with this video. And I also want to add that if you're thinking of switching from ChatGPT to Claude, then I'm going to actually show you how to give Claude all of the info that ChatGPT has on you, so you're not actually starting out from scratch. Now, before you type a single word, I need to explain the thing responsible for about 90% of the bad experiences that you have with AI, because once you get this, everything else in the video will make sense. Claude is not a vending machine. You do not put in a coin and get out a perfect result. It's more like you have to brief a member of staff to actually understand what the job is. Now, the quality of the brief that you give it is going to directly determine the quality of what comes back to you. Think about it this way. Imagine you hire someone brand new, sat them down on their first day and said, write me an email. They would stare at you and be like, okay, but who is it for? What's the context? What is the tone? How long does it need to be? What is the goal? If you don't give them the context, they're probably going to write something safe and generic. And that applies to every single situation when it comes to AI. If you don't give it a good prompt, it's going to give you safe and boring answers. Now, I want you to keep in mind that AI is definitely very smart, but it's not that smart. It's literally trained by humans. We are quite literally the blueprint. We're smarter than AI. Like, come on. This is what happens when you give Claude a one sentence vague prompt. It's not that the tool is bad, it's that you've not given it anything to work with. The people that are getting good results from Claude are not actually smarter than you. They're literally just giving it more context. So I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like in practice now. Before we get into the features, I want to show you something most people completely miss because they never look up from the prompt box. Now, Claude has different models and most people have no idea. They just use whatever default loads up. That's the reason why your results are going to feel inconsistent and you're probably going to end up blaming the tool instead of the fact that you don't know how to use it. So let me break this down quickly because it does matter. Now, there's three different models and those are three very different use cases. Now, Haiku is the fastest and the lightest, so you're going to use that for the most simple tasks like rewording sentences or, for example, getting a quick answer to a straightforward question. Sonnet is going to be your everyday model, and that's basically where you'll spend most of your time. So, for example, writing basic scripts, drafting emails, summarizing documents, planning content, all of that stuff. If you're not sure which one to pick this one. Like, the output is pretty good in general of it. Opus is the most powerful. Now, this one is like really good for like strategizing, making financial decisions, working through like really complex problems that need a proper analysis and not just a quick answer. You can switch between them using the drop-down menu at the bottom of your chat. One thing to note is that Opus will burn through credits really fast. So for example, if you're applying to a basic email, it's best to use Haiku. It doesn't really cost you anything. But if you do the same task on Opus, your credits are flying. Now, I'm gonna have to make a whole separate video on how not to burn through your credits, because when I tell you people are buying extra credits every single day for tasks that could have cost them basically nothing. But that's the conversation for a whole other day. Just know that for now, Sonnet is great for most things and Opus is better for the big stuff. I don't really use Haiku, mostly just Sonnet and Opus for the heavier stuff. Okay, so one of the main things I think we will use AI for is to write stuff. So let's say, for example, I need to write a brand outreach email. Most people would type something like, write me an email to a brand I want to work with, and obviously they're going to act shocked if they see something that reads like a template from 2011. Every single good prompt is going to answer 5 things. So let me break this down for you, because this is literally the IT prompt formula. What you're going to do is you're going to give Claude context about you, your platform, your numbers, your niche, any relevant details, as if you're literally introducing yourself to a complete stranger. You have to remember that it can't tailor anything to you if it does not know who it's writing for. You need to give context for who this writing is for. Who is the other person or brand? The more specific, the better it is. So in my case, it wouldn't just be write an email, it would be write an outreach email, write a pitch, write a follow-up. You need to be specific about what the actual task is. From there, you need to define the tone. So the energy, is it going to be confident but not arrogant? Is it going to be casual and professional? Is it going to be direct with no fluff? However you want it to feel, you need to just say it out loud. From there, you can add in hard rules. So if you want to have a specific word count, what it should or shouldn't include, how to start or end the email. These are the guardrails that stop it from going off in a direction that you did not ask it for. Now, I, for example, will always tell it to never ever use hyphens or dashes, because in my opinion, it's a dead giveaway that the text was written by AI if there's dashes or hyphens in it. Now, I want to make it clear you do not need to have all of these things in your prompt every single time, but let's be real, the more of them that you answer, the less Claude has to guess. And the less it guesses, the better the output is going to be. So here is what it would look like in practice for me. Write a professional outreach email from a content creator with 90,000 YouTube subscribers to a sustainable lifestyle brand called, let's say, Eco Glow. I want to pitch a sponsored YouTube video and I want to keep the tone confident but not arrogant, and let's say under 200 words. Do not start with the word I. You see how every single part of that prompt maps back to the framework? That is just giving Claude something real to work with. And now that Claude has actual information to work with, it knows who you are, who you're talking to, and what you're pitching. The output is not going to be generic anymore, it's going to be tailored. There is a difference you can feel immediately, and here's where most people never discover because they give up after the first attempt. Now, Claude actually does get better the more you push it. After that first response back, you might turn around and say, do you know what, lead with my YouTube stats because it's my strongest number? Or you might turn around and say, you know what, the sign off feels too formal, make it sound more like me, and it will update. So by the 3rd or 4th message, you have something a professional copywriter would have charged you hundreds for. This is literally how it's designed to be used. You're not prompting a machine, you're literally collaborating with one. This one is so useful that I feel slightly embarrassed about how long it took me to start using it. Now, Claude can obviously read your files, so like PDFs, spreadsheets, Word documents, contracts, media kits, all of that jazz. What you're going to do is obviously click the plus icon in the prompt box right here, or you can actually drag the file straight into the chat and then you're going to tell it what you need from that. Now, I hope none of my sponsors watch this, but when they send me their briefs, I have to keep it a buck. I'm not reading all that. So I'll just drop the brand media kits and briefs in and say summarize the key terms or flag anything that I need to pay attention to. I like to drop long research and documents in and just say like, give me the 5 most important things in here. All of these things that basically used to take me the better part of like 15 minutes to read and process will now take me 30 seconds. All of it is like having an assistant who has already read every single document before you walk into a meeting, except they do not need a salary or a desk or someone to make them feel included in the team WhatsApp. Any kind of file that you currently feel like you need to read manually, Claude will process it faster and pull out exactly what you need from it. That is where you're getting your time back every single week. Now, believe it or not, Claude actually gets smarter the more you use it. Here's something that a lot of people do not realize is already switched on, but as you use Claude, it quietly picks things up. So your preferences, your writing style, the type of task that you keep coming back to, your business context, it will store all of this in a memory profile and it will bring it into every new conversation. So you're not constantly re-explaining yourself from scratch. Now, as I was saying at the start of this video, if you did want to import all of your info from ChatGPT to Claude and make the switch, which by the way, I do recommend, what you would want to do is head over to the settings on Claude, click on capabilities, and then you're going to find this section right here that says import memory from other AI providers. From there, you're going to click start import, and it's going to give you this prompt that you're going to paste into ChatGPT. Whatever output it gives you is going to be pasted into the memory details here, and now it's going to have all the context that it needs. That's literally like a 10-second process, and it's going to save you a whole bunch of time. If you already use Claude as your primary tool, then you can actually just manage the memory that it already has on you. So you can go to settings and find the memory controls, where you'll be able to see exactly what it's got saved. If there is anything that's wrong or outdated, then you can go ahead and delete it. And as of right now, it's free for everyone, including people that are on the free plan. Now, if we take a look underneath the chats on the little sidebar, it says projects. Now, as we just mentioned, the memory handles like your general preferences, but if you want Claude to actually know the specifics of, let's say, a project that you're working on, or let's say a YouTube channel or a product or a strategy, this is where you're going to need to start using project. Now, as I said, if you go over to the left sidebar and click the projects icon, you can create a project and you can name it. Now you have a dedicated workspace for that specific area of your business. I personally have separate projects for my YouTube channel, my Pinterest strategy, my digital products, and even one for my email list. Each and every one has its own little world that I feed context into. And inside each project, you can upload whatever file is relevant to it. So let's say you have a brand guideline, a brand kit, maybe your research documents, content calendars. Even if you wanted to share your competitors or competitor analysis, you can do all of that in there. And you can actually add custom instructions that Claude will follow automatically for every single conversation that you have inside of that project. So you just set it one time and it will apply every single time without you having to repeat yourself. So as an example, my YouTube project instructions will say something like, I create content for women building online businesses. My tone is direct or casual with no fluff. Always give me practical steps, not generic advice. And when you're suggesting video ideas, always consider what will work on Pinterest too. Now, every single time I open a chat inside that project, Claude already knows all of that. It's basically like it walks in already briefed on what to do. It will know my niche, my tone, my audience, my goals. I don't have to start from scratch every single time. And the best way that I can explain why this matters is that imagine if every single time you rang your accountant, you had to spend the first 10 minutes explaining who you are, what your business does, and what your financial situation looks like. That would be exhausting. That is what using Claude without projects feels like. Projects removes all of that friction for me entirely. So I can literally just get straight to work. Now, artifacts. This is where Claude stops being a chatbot. Everything up until this point has been Claude as a conversational tool, but this is where it becomes something else. And honestly, most people's jaws drop a little bit. Over on the sidebar, just under projects, you're going to see artifacts. Go ahead and click into that. So instead of just giving you text back like in the chat, Claude can actually build things for you. So it could be documents, templates, trackers, landing page, interactive tools, entire web apps. Like this is all constructed in a live workspace panel that opens right next to your conversation. So you can literally see it being built in real time. Now, let me show you what this looks like in practice. I'm gonna go ahead and click create artifact, and I'm gonna select documents and templates. And I'm gonna type something like, build me a content planning document for a YouTube channel in the online business and side hustle niche. I want it to include sections for monthly video ideas, a status tracker, basically like a Kanban style dashboard. And I wanna keep it clean and easy to use. And as you can see, Claude will build the entire thing in around 10 seconds. Now, this is a proper usable document right in front of me, and this is what makes artifacts really different from just getting a document back in the chat. It's literally an interactive document. You can highlight any section of it, you can click improve, you can give it specific instructions, and it updates only the part that you want without you touching anything else. So if something needs to be more punchy but everything else is a-okay, you can change just that one section and leave everything else exactly as it is. When you're done with it, you can publish it with a public link, and you can actually share it with anyone, or just grab the embed code and drop it straight into a website if you have one. There's no exporting, no uploading, there's literally no extra steps outside of that. And this is the feature in reality that stopped me from using Google Docs for half of the things that I used to use it for. I honestly find this so insanely useful. Now, something that I do want to show you is that if you head over just underneath artifacts and you click on the customize section, you're going to see a section called skills. Now, this one is for the over explainers. You know, when you've spent basically like 4 messages getting called to write in the exact tone for a specific thing where you're finding like, yeah, this is perfect. And then let's say the next week you have to do the whole thing again from scratch. Skills is how you fix that. You save the workflow one time and you give it a name, and instead of over explaining yourself every time, you just pull up the skill and it's already gonna know what to do. So for example, I've actually got one for my YouTube video scripts. I set them up once and now they just exist. And it's not a day one thing, but the second you catch yourself typing the same instructions twice, that is when it's your sign that you need to build a skill. I, for example, have a skill for when I'm script writing. I have a specific tone that I put together that sounds like me and like a way that I like my scripts to be laid out. So all of that is in the skills section, which now it understands me, so I don't have to explain anything to it. I can get straight into organizing my scripts with Claude and it comes out perfectly every single time. Okay, so while we're in the customized section, I'm going to explain the connectors. This is the part where people either get very excited or feel just very confused. Both are valid responses, honestly, but in the chat, you're going to click the plus icon and you're going to add connectors. Claude can connect directly to your actual tools. So Google Drive, Gmail, your calendar, and a growing list of like so many other services. Once it's connected, it stops just giving you information, it starts doing things. So for example, if I turn around and I've connected my Gmail or my Google Calendar and I've asked, you know what, Claude, what do I have on my agenda for the week? It will pull all the necessary information from my calendar and my emails to figure out what I have planned for the week. Something else that I love doing because it's connected to my Google Calendar is I will literally turn around and be like, you know what, find me, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours this week that I can dedicate to a new skill, and it will quite literally just check my calendar and tell me when, so I'm not overwhelmed with having to think about a million different things. I'm not lying, it's quite literally like having an assistant who gives great advice and actually goes off and executes tasks. Like if you ever fantasize about having someone who handles all of the admin and like logistics while you get to focus on the work that actually moves your business, this is the closest thing that currently exists. And if I'm keeping it a buck, it costs way less than hiring a human. Most people do not need this, but once you have the basics down, this is what turns Claude into something that really runs for you in the background of your business. Something that I definitely suggest, if you haven't done so already, is download the Claude app. Now obviously it's available for both iOS and Android. The reason why I like the mobile app is because I tap the microphone and just talk to it. I use this constantly when I'm out and something just clicks in my head. Instead of trying to voice note, because what I used to do is either have like a million notes open in my notes app, or I'd have a whole bunch of voice notes that low-key didn't make any sense. And then I never really had the time or energy to go back and organize my thoughts, so they were just sitting there for ages. When in reality now I can just talk to Claude about things in real time and get a structured response back. And there's also a psychological thing worth mentioning here. A lot of people genuinely think better when they're speaking than when they're typing. So if you're one of those people, voice mode is not just a nice extra feature, it's actually really handy. It's actually going to change the quality of what you produce because you're finally working in the format that your brain prefers. Like I find myself being a billion times more productive now that AI is involved. Now, I wanted to touch on the skill that separates the people who swear by Claude from the people that swear at it. And I want to end the video on this because honestly, it's the most important thing in this entire video, and it is not a feature. It's actually just a mindset shift. As I was saying earlier, the best way that I can describe it is like most people use Claude like a vending machine. So they put in a prompt, there's one result out, they take it or they leave it. And the result normally is so disappointing that they decide that AI is overhyped and they go back to doing everything manually, which is exactly what I was doing at the start. The reason that people are getting really good results is because they treat it like a conversation. They send something, they get back, they push further, they add context, they challenge it, they refine it. By the 4th or 5th message, they have something that would have taken a professional hours to produce. And the first attempt is never the best attempt. That's not a flaw, that is just how it works. The same way your first draft of anything is never ever going to be your best draft. You are meant to work with it. And here's the technique that I use that sounds honestly a little bit ridiculous, but it's one of the most useful things that I've ever found. And that's when Claude produces something you genuinely love, ask it to write the exact prompt that would have produced this output in one go. This is going to make Claude reverse engineer the perfect prompt and hand it to you. Save it, use it the next time you need that type of output, and over time you're going to build up a library of prompts that get you exactly what you want on the first attempt every single time. Now just think of it like a recipe. What I like to do is I keep all of my best prompts on my Notion so it's all organized. I actually have a template for it that I can give you guys for 100% free, which I'm going to link down in the description. But yeah, that's basically the entire video. As I said, the prompting, mindset, writing, all of that stuff. Every single link and resource mentioned in this video is in the description as always. If this video helped you, drop a comment telling me which feature you're going to try first. I genuinely read every single one of my comments. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.